Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bachelor Buzz News channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist from The Golden Bachelor were never as into each other as Joan Vassos and Chock from The Golden Bachelorette, and their relationship could save the franchise. It was far from a straight course to true love, as 61-year-old Joan and 60-year-old Chock made detours to locate one another. "It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all," said to a wise man, and Joan and Chock had experienced a great deal of both before they met. Prior to his death in 2021, Joan was wed to Joan Vassos for 32 years. Joan, who was lonely, dated Gerry Turner, 72, after joining the cast of The Golden Bachelor. Joan was cast as the Golden Bachelorette when she had to leave early because of a family emergency. Chock had lost his cherished fiancée, who died in 2022, before being chosen as one of Joan's 24 unmarried golden men. Gerry and 70-year-old Theresa were never as into one another as Joan and Chock are now that they have discovered one another. An Instagram video of Joan and Chock responding to fan inquiries was shared by Us Weekly a few days ago, and it demonstrates just how devoted the recently engaged pair is to one another. The Golden Bachelorette Season 1 pair sits close to one another and can't seem to keep their hands off of one another throughout the video. In sharp contrast to Gerry and Theresa, who never seem to be as engaged in one another, this dynamic is repeated in practically every video and image of Chock and Joan, and it is evident that their connection is intense and passionate. When Gerry and Theresa rode off into the sunset during Season 1 of The Golden Bachelor, expectations were high. The septuagenarian pair was married in a grandiose Golden Bachelor wedding a few weeks after making their relationship public. The lavish wedding, which was sponsored by ABC, was attended by many celebrities. Audiences genuinely wanted to think that Gerry and Theresa would have a happy ending because their relationship came to symbolize the possibility of finding love later in life. After just 3 months of marriage, Gerry and Theresa announced their divorce, shattering expectations and destroying hopes. The Golden Bachelor brand's reputation suffered as a result of the foolish marriage and subsequent divorce. The Golden Bachelorette was under a lot of pressure to steer clear of the same blunders, and it appears that they might have done so with Joan and Chock's intense and passionate romance. In retrospect, it's clear that Gerry and Theresa never had the same level of attraction to one another as Joan and Chock did. Despite their apparent mutual liking, Gerry and Theresa never seemed particularly attracted to one another. Gerry consistently maintained a physical and mental distance from Theresa, whereas Chock was unable to keep his hands off Joan. Even pictures when they are posing face-to-face seem staged or even forced. The absence of attraction was probably a contributing element, but it's also possible that Gerry and Theresa simply don't care as much about showing affection in public. Joan and Chock didn't take their love for granted because, at their ages, they had both experienced love and a significant loss. Joan and Chock have been looking for real estate in New York City since they got engaged at the conclusion of Season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette. They intend to spend some time there. After the initial rush of love subsides, it is unclear if Joan and Chock will still enjoy one another. Their love has the potential to salvage the Golden Bachelor brand if it endures. Joan Vassos of The Golden Bachelorette made the right choice in giving Chock her last rose, and there are plenty of reasons why he isn't the villain that has been painted. When 61-year-old Joan Vassos applied to be a participant on The Golden Bachelor, everything began, and it's a love story for the ages. When ABC revealed that a new Bachelor Nation program centered on senior citizen love tales will be produced, there was a lot of excitement. After applying to be on the show, Joan, a private school administrator, was selected as one of the 22 unmarried women who would vie for the affections of Gerry Turner, 72. Any aspirations of a connection with Gerry were dashed early in the season when Joan had to quit the program due to a family emergency. Joan was chosen to be the first female star in the spin-off, just when it appeared that her time as a bachelor was coming to an end. In the first season of The Golden Bachelorette, Joan was seen greeting a fleet of limousines transporting her 24 unmarried golden guys outside the famous Bachelor home. The cast featured a number of outstanding guys, such as Guy Gansert, age 66, and Mark Anderson, age 58, but Joan would ultimately fall in love with Chock, age 60. Joan gave Chock her last rose at the season finale, and he gave her a diamond ring in return. During the last rose ceremony, the couple became engaged and began their life together. All things considered, Joan made a wise choice in giving Chock her last rose. At the conclusion of season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette, Joan and Chock became engaged and rode off into the sunset to live a happy ever after. They discussed their unusual living circumstances in an interview with People the day after they got engaged. Chock stated, "We will be traveling back and forth between Kansas, Maryland, and New York. We'll have a full-time location in New York, and we'll be there whenever we have the chance." Joan lived in Maryland and Chock lived in Kansas prior to their appearances on The Golden Bachelor and The Golden Bachelorette. They planned to live in each other's states for a while. Instead of living together, Joan and Chock will alternate between living apart. They had already begun searching for a place to buy jointly in New York. It's too early for Joan and Chock to live together full-time because they don't know one another well. Slowing down demonstrates Joan and Chock's deep affection for one another. Throughout season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette, Joan dated a lot of men and got along with a few of them, but no one was as enamored of her as Chock was. Although they liked Joan, several of the other men disappointed her. Pascal Igui, 69, delivered one of the most brutal cuts. Joan's final 3 men were the charming French salon owner, who also introduced her to his family and friends. Up until their overnight date, everything was going smoothly. Pascal went into a panic during a symbolic bonding rite. He began to doubt his feelings for Joan after the workout. After telling her that he considered her more of a friend than a lover in an emotional scene that Bachelor Nation uploaded to YouTube, Pascal left The Golden Bachelorette and returned home. For Joan, the past few years have been quite challenging. Joan was married to John Vassos long before she was chosen to appear on The Golden Bachelorette. He was her true love, and together they produced 4 kids, all of whom are now adults with their own kids. Prior to John's death in 2021, Joan and John enjoyed a joyful 32 years of marriage. Joan had never imagined that she would need to go out on dates again in her prime, but now that her kids were out of the home, she was on her own. Joan's late husband had expressed his desire for her to try to find love once again before he passed away. It didn't work out for Joan either when she chose to compete on Gerry's season of The Golden Bachelor. Joan was still dealing with the loss of her late husband and the guilt that accompanied attempting to replace him when Chock entered the picture. Since she first met Chock, Joan has never stopped smiling, and it's hard to find a photo of her that doesn't show her beaming. Like Joan, Chock understands what it's like to lose a loved one. Chock met Catherine Elizabeth White Gorey following his divorce from Heather Chappell, his 12-year wife and the mother of his 2 children. Before Heather passed away in 2022, they had been engaged for 9 years. In an early episode of The Golden Bachelorette Season 1, Joan and Chock go on their first alone date. Joan tells him about losing John, and he tells her about losing Heather. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.